Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, the esoteric path, irreverence, sarcasm, taking the piss out of two-faced, hypocritical, backstabbing gobshites. What a wonderful overcast day. No gobshites anywhere to be found. It's fantastic. Yeah, this is my designated lazy day today, because I thought, well, it's still a wee bit rainy outside, and I thought, why the fuck not? It's not as if I have to deal with customers anymore. So, yeah, I thought it was time for another ranty / roasting video. How can you not? You need to release the pressure valve sometimes when surrounded by such incredible amounts of stupidity. And especially when you engage in any kind of social media, it's amazing. It really is amazing in its ability to amuse one. But I'll begin with an amusing little story the other day. I don't drive a car, never have. I probably never will. And I had my learner's driver's license once. That was only because of my ex's prompting. I let that run out when we broke up, and I really didn't need it. And I'm strictly a bus, train, and occasionally taxi guy. And I enjoy getting on the bus and sitting down and choosing my music for the 30 plus minute bus trip, and just pretending the world doesn't exist. Not having to worry about who's cutting off who and what the other driver in the other lane is doing or any of that rubbish. I've done that my whole life, and I don't really need to change it. So that is what it is. But you get to talk to some of the locals, and the other day I got to know this one guy that I saw at the bus stop a couple of times. He's a little bit older than me. He's been in the area his whole life, and talking about we discovered our mutual disdain and dislike of people getting so easily offended and the direction of modern society and so on. And we had such a conversation on the bus just the other day, and third of the way through our trip, a typical modern young woman came in and sat down literally just in front of us, and we kept talking as we do, and you can tell she had her earphones on, and she was fiddling with her phone after a while, listening to our conversation. And judging by her body language, you can tell she was triggered, but she dare not say anything. And I just found that absolutely fantastic. So, of course, me being me, I continued to push the conversation in more, shall we say, Ricky Gervais levels of offence. And there's not a fucking thing her or any of the other Karens on the bus could do about it. I love looking like a scary heathen metalhead. Especially when you have the size to back it up. They just leave you alone. It's incredible. It really is. Which is why I go out of my way to walk through what we call the junkie alley of the mall, where all the junkies and scrawny, emaciated gobshites congregate. And when they see me coming, it's like parting the Red Sea for me. It's kind of funny though. When I used to work on a Saturday morning, when pre-COVID cult times, when one of my beloved cafes was still open on a Saturday morning, And I would get my pre-work coffee, as you do, to steel oneself for the horde of customers one has to deal with. And don't ask me how I did it for 17 years. Wow. But I was there at the takeaway window, and across the road you have a supermarket, and there was one of these above mentioned at the outside the supermarket, and he was just being aggressive and loud and obnoxious and threatening in his incoherent, nasally ramblings. And whomever happened to have the misfortune of being around him within a 20-meter radius received the focus of his ire. And of course I was across the road, and he said something in my direction, and of course I didn't do like the others. No. They just sort of ignored them, put their heads down and walked quickly. No, I turned around and I sort of said something sarcastic back. And of course that triggered him even more. And I said, "All right, Mr. Tough Man, stop your yapping. Get over here. Let's see how fucking tough you actually are." And I go, "There's only one problem. My thigh is as big as your waist. How the fuck do you think this is going to go?" And he kept going for 10, 20 seconds. And I go, "I can hear the lips flapping, but you're not moving. What are you, a little fucking coward pussy?" And because he actually found someone who didn't take his shit, he actually sort of walked rather quickly away, and I just laughed my head off. It was fantastic. And to give you an idea, he was the size I was when I was 12, 13. But you do. There are times when you just have to laugh in the face of such blatant stupidity. And because, in case you haven't noticed, and in case you haven't been paying attention, we are living in the era of what some of us call the inversion, and where everything that is empowering and ennobling and elevating for the human condition is purposely flipped over, and the opposite takes effect. Perpetual fear-mongering and milking the crap out of the above-mentioned malevolent chaos. And it's really quite sickening to watch, and it's quite sickening seeing how passive and obedient people actually are. Very, very few people in the percentage of the world's population actually have any fucking idea what's going on. And those who do are easily ridiculed and targeted by what these people think is clever retorts. Tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. You notice they're not laughing so loud anymore? You're being lied to, fuckers. And I mean, if you weren't questioning the falseness of this scamdemic narrative before, add another scary health issue that they just literally pulled out of their backsides called the monkeypox virus, right? And such things as from various leaders, premiers, etc., saying, someone put these together expertly on a Twitter post, which is fantastic. Anyone from the Victorian Premier Adolf Andrews to the Australian Prime Minister to Joe Biden to fuck knows who else, all saying, if you take your scamdemic vax once, twice, 3 times, you won't get the scamdemic virus. You'll be fully protected. And of course, then the footage shifts to these same people being tested positive. And of course, it's incredible because people aren't really realizing yet, the vast majority, that when you purposely take into yourself an experimental gene-altering drug, which, among other things, destroys your the effectiveness of your immune system, guess what? You're going to be susceptible to the traditional flu season, right? And of course, they're continuing with this fear-mongering that thankfully more and more people are no longer really listening to. Oh, scamdemic virus numbers are going through the roof, and oh, people are talking about mask mandates. And then someone in the comments expertly said, yeah, because that worked so wonderfully in New Zealand. So yeah, there are some people who are paying attention, thankfully. The world isn't totally beyond hope yet, although it certainly is going in that direction, especially when they purposely create the inflation and the prices through the roof and making food and fuel so, well, almost out of people's reach. And when you have, as I said before, I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the head. Fuck. And yeah, that was a purpose Balky Bartokomous reference there. Especially when they take the all-important building blocks of human society and culture and attack them and invert them through the woke movement, which is just one tentacle of a big, ugly, malevolent, evil octopus. And as many of us have said before, it really began towards the end of 2014 onwards. That's when you started to hear this kind of useless, vacuous crap. And of course, now during the last year or two, this whole trans movement is incredible. They just don't want men to be connected to their all-important masculinity anymore, and they don't want women to be connected to their all-important femininity anymore and their female nature. They just want unisex, and of course, thereby destroying the all-important family unit, which of course is the all-important building block to extended family and community, and you get the picture. But the thing is, they know exactly who they're targeting, and when you have people who have been paying attention to what people like George Soros and all these fucking evil sociopathic cunts are saying, namely that, I wish I knew that the source, I did see it posted somewhere, how that George Soros said something about purposely targeting black Americans because they're easily manipulated by this racist narrative. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You can also add women to the list because they're easily manipulated as well. If we tell enough people over and over and over again that modern women are strong and empowered and don't need no man, they're going to actually believe it. And thereby divide and conquer. So if it wasn't enough with dividing and conquering using religion or race, let's add the all-important dynamic between the sexes and thereby decreasing the world's population. I actually would have preferred if they did it Ebenezer Scrooge style, but hey, to each their own. If they are going to die, then they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. The man is a fucking legend, you understand? Now, in this year, 2022, I understand Ebenezer Scrooge. I really fucking do. The man was a fucking legend, you understand? But, there it is. And especially when you read on Facebook. Don't you love that for amusement? Fuck. When we're laughable people like Alan Jones. Yeah, I know. Some of you who live here know exactly who I'm talking about. Goes on about... I found the post yesterday hilarious where he talks about... they're taking religion out of the out of the country and out of schools, and this is a Christian country, and blah 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 blah, and this is why the world's going to hell, because religion is being, and when he says religion he means Christianity, right? Now it's kind of interesting because I left a comment, something about the there's a wonderful thing called the separation of church and state, thereby preventing people like myself who have a very different path being burnt at the stake or stoned to death, like your own fucking book says that you should. And what does your demented book say? The Lord thy God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? So he's the same jealous asshole from the Old Testament. Okay, you can't sort of suddenly inject Neoplatonism into the New Testament and say, oh, look, he's a God of love. No, he's not. Quote, I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, unquote. So basically, my ancient namesake, Socrates, right, is more ethical and more holy than the Jewish idiotic God. Think about that for a moment. And had more ethics than the fake, non-historical Frankenstein's monster amalgam God-man called Jesus Christ, who, going to a fig tree and seeing that it had no figs to give or no fruit to give, destroyed it using his fake biblical magic, right? Yeah, thy ancient namesake has more ethics than that. And, of course, if any of you know the history of Christianity, some of us have been studying this fucking shit since 1986 at least, then you'll know that once literalist Christianity and the legacy of Constantine, the man that the Greek Orthodox Church fucking deifies and saints. There's a fucking feast day, St. Constantine and Helen. You're fucking kidding, aren't you? The one fucker who's directly responsible for historicist Christianity destroying all other forms and becoming the main religion of the relics of the Roman Empire, right? And once that started destroying everything else, and once they closed down the Plato's Academy of Athens, I think it was in 437 or 427 CE. Oh, I know you quote unquote devout Roman Catholics are going to be triggered by me using BCE and CE instead of BC and AD. Yes, Odin's movie blogs, I'm talking to you, right? And there's the hypocrisy right there. Mr. Devout Roman Catholic calling himself Odin, having Valkyries and Asgard, right? Make up your mind. Are you going to be devout Roman Catholic or still keep stealing all pagan things? Right? You can't have both. It's one or the other. You people are the masters of absolutism. There it is. You can't have both. It's one or the other. Okay, I'll put it in terms you cunts can understand. But I digress. And so once literalist, historicist Christianity took over, what was the result? The fucking Dark Ages. And of course, it didn't really change until the Renaissance in like the fucking 15th century. Alright, and thereby laying the foundation, which was already kind of being laid towards the latter half of the Roman Empire anyway. The foundations for this fascist New World Order agenda, sociopathic controlled world that we're living in now. It wasn't the removal of Christianity that is resulting in the inverted world today. It's actually their own fucking religion. By scaring people to death and creating a concept which doesn't even exist anywhere in the New Testament. Yeah, I'm talking about hell. They dehumanize and they castrate their wonderful, noble nature of humanity and the power of humanity, our innate power, then yeah, they turn people into mindless, passive, sycophantic, grovelling cunts. And behold, this is the world we have today. So you can think, if you're going to thank anything for the way things are now, you can thank your fucking precious church. Okay? So that is what it is. And today, really, in conclusion to all this wonderful rambling, all you can really do, as I said in my previous video, is control your reactions to what you see around you. You are the one in control of two things for the rest of your life. Your breath, yeah, I know I'm talking about meditation, and your thoughts. And you control what goes into and affects and creates those thoughts, which then of course affects and creates your emotions and your feelings. And of course then once you go down that rabbit hole, you start to realize that such things as family isn't exactly what people think it is, because it's not always biological, especially when you're walking down the street and your niece walks towards you with her little friends and looks at you, you look at her, and she ignores your existence because she's embarrassed. Right, and that's something that you never ever forget. And so I really forget that I have nieces, because these people are like strangers to me. They're not. I do not consider them family at all, and that's just the way it is. I consider people who treat me like family as family. One of them's listening to this right now. You know who you are. And that's the way it is. The only one you're stuck with day in and day out is yourself. And if you hate yourself and you have problems with yourself, then you got a wee bit of work to do. I think that'll do. To speak the truth is a very lonely path, but a very rewarding one. And may I suggest you read some Joseph Campbell and Alan Watts while you're at it, and go back to the good old stuff and read the Last Days of Socrates. That's a good book to read. The man was a fucking legend. The irreverent, proud, heathen hammer-wielding, hypocritical, gobshite-slaying, sarcastic lone wolf on guitar. 8.